All right, we will get going. If others join us, then well, the more the merrier. And we are recording the session today, so hopefully we'll be able to get this sent out and shared with other people who weren't able to make us. But thank you for those of you that are. We've got a really kind of important conversation today. So it's brilliant that so many of you have managed to join us. And the value of this conversation is very much going to be on kind of, people's discussions and input. So we look forward to kind of hearing from all of you that have got thoughts as we move through the session. In terms of structure, Laura is going to just pop the slides up if that's okay, Laura. We've obviously we'll do kind of, we'll take the opportunity to have a quick conversation around women in bus and coach and what we're here for and the opportunities and kind of inviting people to get involved. For any of you on the call that haven't previously potentially attended one of these sessions or something similar and want to learn a little bit more about it. So Laura will take you through some of that stuff shortly. And then we've got a couple of fantastic speakers with us today. Hopefully people are aware that the topic for discussion today is, it's such an important one. It's about safety across the bus and coach network, particularly around violence against women and girls, with the activities that we're thinking about, work that's ongoing already, but also an opportunity for us just to reflect on that and think what more we might want to be doing. Laura and I were having a chat about this earlier this morning. Somebody had mentioned to me yesterday that as I was travelling home from work, that it would be, the last time this year that I would get home in daylight, because obviously the clocks change this weekend. And there's something about that that just reminds you about, there's a definite shift in those hours of darkness around the level of vulnerability experience, and that's not the case, for everybody. And there's violence and risk at, all times of day and night, which in itself is, troubling, of course, and worth discussion. But there's something that makes it even more important as we're moving into this kind of time of year when, lots of us will feel even more vulnerable. And I think the other thing just to mention, and this will probably be picked up as we talk through the conversation today, there's something occasionally when we talk about kind of safety across the network and the risks, particularly around women and girls. Sometimes I almost want to say, well, there's lots of other people that are vulnerable on the network. Why do we talk specifically about women and girls? And for me, and as I'm sure lots of us will share a thought, if we can make the network safer for, those that are most vulnerable, then everybody benefits. So yes, we talk about that without kind of apologies, but please bear in mind that we're thinking about everybody that's using the network and making it somewhere that we all want to work and use, and for the next generation as well, and encouraging people to come. So I won't say very much more. I'll hand over to Laura, and then we will get to our two fabulous speakers. So we've got Nikki Swanson, who is our Travel Safe Partnership Manager here at the Combined Authority, and we've also got Angelita McCann from First Bus as well, who will be talking to us, and then we'll open it up for your thoughts and input. All right, over to you, Laura. Thank you.
Cool, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. So just a couple of slides from me, hoping they're going to move forward. So just a little bit of an overview of what Women in Bus and Coach is. So really it's about trying to, attract more females into the industry, so both into bus, coach and community transport. We're very much aware that kind of in national surveys, more women than men take particularly buses. I think there's a stat there that women take an average of 56 local bus journeys, while men take an average of 53, which is a difference of 30%. And yet there's only sort of 11% of women make up the workforce. So just trying to kind of look at that kind of gender imbalance and how we can sort of attract more people into that bus and coach industry. And again, because the more decision makers are sort of typically male, so those decisions don't always represent that customer voice that's out there in the network. So really what this group has been trying to do is look at that and bring in projects and initiatives to try and attract more females into the industry, really. And some of the projects that are happening to do that. So we have a blue plaque scheme. Sorry about all these little things, it's not coming in at once, which is really just recognising some of the industry trailblazers. So some of the first female bus drivers that are out there on the network. We have a mentee scheme, which is providing a platform for some of our kind of new entrants into the industry to link with more established women that have been working in the industry for a while, just to provide that kind of guidance and that support. There's some really specific projects around inclusive cab design, so making sure that our kind of infrastructure works for a variety of different body shapes and sizes, and also some really key projects such as period positivity, so making sure that our facilities accommodate and promote sort of female health issues across that network as well. So some real important projects going on. The northern region, so we have the same aspirations and aims as the wider group, but really just focus on bringing people who work in the northern region into that group and supporting them. I mean, really about kind of establishing connections. We do a variety of different sessions, these online sessions as well as face-to-face sessions, all about trying to attract and retain females in frontline roles and across the whole industry. And sort of we do lobbying as well as offering guidance and support. Just a quick sort of snapshot of what we've done this year. So some of us, and particularly those from the Liverpool City region, are involved in the event side of things. So sort of networking and nibbles are face-to-face events where we provide some food and opportunity to talk to each other. As I say, we do these food and thought lunchtime sessions, which usually have a structure similar to this, where there's a presentation and then an opportunity for networking. And then we have events that are sort of out on the network at different places. So we've had one in Leeds at the Park and Ride. A few weeks ago now, sort of in mid-September, we went to the loading bay in Bradford, and we've got coming up our Christmas event in Liverpool on the 4th of December. So lots of opportunities to network throughout the year. And that was probably all I was going to say before handing over to Nikki. So trying to have a really sort of vibrant and interesting programming and really reaching as many people as possible to get our message out there. So Nikki, if I hand over to yourself. And if you just tell me when you want me to move on to the next slide.
First fail, forget to turn my microphone on. So there we go. Thanks, Laura, and thanks for the invite to come along and talk about this really important issue, which is very close to my heart. I'm working on for quite a number of years now. So yeah, the purpose of today really is just to sort of give you a bit of an overview of the Travel Safe Partnership here in the Combined Authority, and just some of the work that we've been doing, working with partners to prevent and tackle violence against women and girls in Merseyside. So just to give you a little background from me, I think some of you will know me on the call. So I've got probably around 30 years experience now working in criminal justice and community safety settings. So I started off my career working for Merseyside Police in various clerical roles, and my last role there was working as an intelligence analyst. I then took an opportunity to move over to what was Mersey Travel at the time, into the newly formed Travel Safe Partnership, looking at developing our systems and reporting around that, because again we were having huge problems, particularly around missiles being thrown at buses. Had a couple of other roles in between, and I'm now sort of managing the partnership in the Combined Authority. So also I am chair of the Urban Transport Group, Safety and Security Group as well, so working with colleagues across the country, looking at best practice and trying to influence government practice. And I think one of the things that we've sort of really been challenging over the last couple of years is around bylaws for buses. So I'm sure you're all aware of the bus services bill going through as well, so we've been sort of really influencing that side of things as well. Okay, next slide, Lola. Taking its time. Oh, I think we've jumped on. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. So I thought I'd just give a little bit of a background to the Travel Safe Partnership and who we are. So the Travel Safe Partnership is led by the Combined Authority, and it includes our key partners, which is Merseyside Police, British Transport Police, and our bus and rail operators. And we have other interest groups on there as well. So voluntary sectors, so we have like Crime Stoppers, and other types of things on that board. We're a very small team compared to some of the other safer travel teams across the country. So we have a dedicated policing team for the bus network, and that consists of a sergeant and 6 police community support officers. So again, small team for the area, but we do a lot of work. We do have a strategy which is coming to the end of its yearly life now, so it's a 3-year strategy. I'm going to be refreshing that, obviously, reflecting our move towards a bushfire franchising model as well. So currently our strategic aim is to
create a safer transport network for customers and staff whilst improving that overall customer experience. And we have 3 aims around that. So no surprises there around addressing and deterring instances of crime and social behaviour on the transport network, achieving further improvements in the perceptions of safety and security, and adapting and responding to a new transport network. And that last one is probably the one that we are going to sort of change. We put that in just as we were coming out of the pandemic, and we weren't sure what that network was looking like. And obviously, as we're developing our franchising model, and as Cara's already alluded to there, we know that personal security is a big issue for people travelling on the network, and it is a barrier to use. And that the perceptions of feeling unsafe and that fear of crime can affect those travel choices. And as Cara said there, it does shift, and people traveling in the dark, it does enhance those feelings or unfeelings of safety. And as we know, what can happen then, it reduces or limits life opportunities and has a direct impact on the economy. But as we said, the Travel Safe Partnership is committed to improving people's experiences and their physical and emotional safety on public transport, and particularly for women and girls and those with protected characteristics. So what I'm going to touch upon now really is just our work around tackling violence against women and girls. Now, what we recognise here, we're a small team with not a lot of resource, not a lot of funding. So for us, it's very key that we work with our partners across the city region. So where did we start? So take it back to probably to 2021, when we really started focusing on this work a little bit more, and that was with the introduction of the government's tackling violence against women and girls, which did put in their things around tackling that issue on the public transport network. Probably a year later, or later on that year, as part of that policy, the government appointed 2 transport champions to look at this issue. And that was Laura Schoaf and Anne Shaw, who both worked at Transport from West Midlands. And I worked with them to obviously develop some of this, their transport recommendations. And then just tying into that and where the work we're going, certainly in our area, and we work very closely with our Police and Crime Commissioner here in Merseyside, and they developed their own plan around tackling violence against women and girls across Merseyside. And as a combined authority, we have some commitments around there around tackling street harassment and that work around public transport. So that's how we started. Go on to the next slide, please, Laura, but don't click straight away. I'm just hoping that the little video is going to work on this. Yes, it will do. So rather than me talk around and exactly what we did, so again, looking at that funding, there was a couple of years ago an opportunity to bid for some money from the Home Office through their Safer Streets Fund. So again, we worked very closely with Liverpool City Council and our Police and Crime Commissioner, and secured a pot of money to sort of look at this issue and what we could do. So there's a lot of different interventions that were part of that. And very much a behavioural change awareness campaign around those behaviours that are unacceptable. And rather than me talk about this video will show you some of the work that we did as part of that. Thanks, Laura. Thanks. I've just saw some of the comments popping up there. I think in the background is just a music overplay sort of thing. So thanks, Cara, for suggesting the humming over that one. So apologies for that. But as I say, rather than me talk through some of those initiatives, as I say, that was just the power of that partnership. The PCC was very keen that we did something on public transport. So it was a great opportunity for us to look at that. What I'm just going to touch upon here is some of the things that we did do, which were great ideas at the time, and sort of just some of the pitfalls that we did with those ones. So very much we wanted to do something around being an active bystander, and there was an ask really there to do some work with our public transport operators. And again, our bus operators about training them around being an active bystander. Unfortunately, we just weren't able to do that as well as we would like to think. Again, sometimes when you get this funding, you're given a very short time limit to deliver, and we just couldn't deliver that way. So we have learned from that, and we are making some progress with that as we move forward. Another suggestion was around having a tech service. So I know our colleagues in West Midlands, I think we have got somebody on the call from the West Midlands, based upon something very similar they do there. Unfortunately, this wasn't a great success either, and we think we put that down to a lot of the marketing of that. We didn't market it as well as we could do, and the costs of that just we couldn't sustain in the future. So we did have to sort of pull that one. But we are looking at sort of trying to look at other issues or other ways of doing that in the future. And the final one that we did do there was around creating safe spaces at our bus stations. So again, that has been really successful. Again, it's not anything additional to think of. Our staff are dealing with vulnerable people all day and dealing with that. But what we wanted to do was just make that a bit more visible. The branding that we used there was using some thing that the PCC was supporting, but again that branding is sort of going to be changed in the future really, sort of thing, and we're going to try and hopefully expand that into our rail stations as well. So again, it's all trial and error. I'm sure some of you have done lots of different initiatives and some have worked really well and some haven't, so just being honest and open about some of those things and those and just the consequences of not doing them. Okay, so where are we now? So as I've touched upon as well, we're moving sort of to our franchising model, but we're very keen that again to learn from what we've sort of done in the past and sort of develop on that. So we're working very closely with our partners now. We're sort of working on a new VAWG delivery plan. So it's just sort of in the initial stages about on what that's going to include, but we're very clear now what our vision is going to be is around that safe door-to-door travel experience for women and girls, free from violence and intimidation. So again, not just literally when they are on that transport network, it's that journey to and from. I think we can recognise that some people may feel very safe when they're on that bus or that coach or that train, but if your journey walking to and from those transport networks, you're just not going to do it. You're not going to make that choice, especially in the dark as well. We're also very keen that we do a coordinated multimodal approach here in the city region, rooted in that data, lived experiences, and also around that decisive leadership as well. I'm sure as colleagues across the a country will know there's great work going on both across the bus and rail network, but as a transport user, you do have a different experience whether you're traveling on the bus or the rail. Again, very clear when you're on the rail, you've got the support of British Transport Police, and it's very much more difficult when you're working with your Home Office forces with a bus network that cuts across different police force areas. So again, I'll use the example here. We don't we work very closely with Merseyside Police, and they have specific reporting channels, and our colleagues across in Manchester Manchester Police, they have a live chat function which they sort of utilise through there, and again we don't have that function here in Merseyside. So again, the complexities about how to do reporting and make that consistent approach. So I think we're just looking about different ways that we can sort of make sure that we do that more coordinated approach here in the city region, building upon. So again, when you transgress from a bus to rail, you're getting the same experience and those same messaging. Also, we've got that commitment really there again. I think it starts with our staff. We're very clear around that, staff across the network, that they are resilient and they have the skills and ability to deal with incidents appropriately. So I think we've heard of examples where someone has gone to a bus driver or gone to a member of the staff and not been supported as well as they could have been. So we're very much focusing on making sure before we roll anything out that staff know how to deal with that, they know how to recognise and respond safely, and also make sure that they can, if we create those safe spaces, that it's appropriate and that those staff will help those people. And that ties in again around our active bystander interventions, having that clear guidance and practical steps around how people can safely intervene. We also want to build trust and confidence to increase reporting. We know that both staff and passengers in this area, it's underreported, or people don't recognise that it is an incident of violence against women and girls, especially the instance where it may be sort of is those inappropriate behaviours which don't meet and are not sort of criminal thresholds. So we want to sort of look at that. And also, again, I think we've had feedback again about people don't know how to report things. So again, just having that clear way routes that people and passengers know how to report incidents. And again, just tying in with that is looking around educational initiatives, the community outreach and programmes aimed at changing attitudes and behaviours that contribute to VAWG. So the messages we had around the Safer Streets Merseyside campaign were really impactful. So again, I think we will utilise them. We just need to look at how we're going to sort of communicate that to our passengers in the future. And just really to finish on, so again, lots of the work that we're doing around the partnership, but again, just touching probably upon how staff is so important in this. Again, certainly in our combined authority, it's embedding those cultures in your workplace that it's a safe and supportive place for everyone. So if you start in your workplace and people feel safe to speak out and report incidents, then it's more likely that they will do that whilst they're out in the workplace. So here in the CA, we ensure that staff have the skills and knowledge and are able to challenge what to do and how to support colleagues. Our policies support that. So we have things like dignity at work, code of conduct, safeguarding, and we have designated safeguarding leads across the organisation. We've just launched our new domestic abuse policy and our workplace champions as well to support any staff that may be going through this in the workplace. And again, just support and visibility with campaigns, not just creating our own campaigns. We make sure that any campaigns that Merseyside Police or British Transport Police are very visible within our organisation. So currently Merseyside Police have a no excuse one, which is recognising the red flags around domestic abuse. So they are around our building as well. So again, it's just showing that we are aware of these things, and also again around supporting any awareness weeks and days. We also make sure that we do that across the partnership as well as our organisation. So again, we've got Domestic Abuse Awareness Month this month, and then we've also got an International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls come at the end of November, as well as White Ribbon, and I won't steal Angelisa's thunder on that one, because she'll be talking a little bit more about that. But again, I think it's very key that we sort of, just as working in this industry, that we understand it and support our staff, and then that hopefully that will transgress into our passengers and how to report that. So just a little bit of the flavour of the work we're doing, and I hope you found that useful.
Thanks for that, Nikki. That was really good and lots going on. I'm going to hand over straight to Angelita and then we'll pick up any questions at the end, but do keep putting them in the chat as you go through. But okay, thanks for that. So if I move forward to the next slide and hand over to yourself, Angelita.
Thanks, Nikki. That was really inspiring to hear the work you've been doing in Merseyside. So my name's Annalita, for those of you who don't know, and I'm here representing First Bus and their approach to tackling violence against women and girls as someone who sits close to it internally. I'm also the lead of the combined authorities and Women in Bus and Coach Northern Region, so I'm happy to be combining both passions today on this call. We could just move on to the next slide, please. So I would like to pose you with a question. Have a think, what matters to you when you're choosing public transport? Maybe it's the reliability of the service, the cost of a ticket, or the convenience of a route. These are the kind of factors most people, especially men, tend to think about when planning a journey. But for women and girls, there's often another unspoken factor. How safe do I feel? How safe does the station feel, the stop, the walk home afterwards? According to the latest Girls' Attitude Survey by Girl Guiding, 1 in 3 girls avoid public transport because of safety fears. That's a third of young women choosing not to travel simply because of how unsafe they feel. That's not a statistic, that's a call to action. Now, while First Bus acknowledges the actual risk of violence on public transport remains quite low, but the perceived risk of it is still far too high. And perception matters. Fear of violence alone becomes a barrier to travel, a barrier to education, to work, to freedom, and ultimately independence. So, as one of the UK's largest transport operators, First Bus believes we have a responsibility to tackle violence against women and girls heads on. Not just through surface level campaigns, but through deep cultural change, education, staff training, and strategic partnerships, which I will go on to speak about soon. I've been fortunate enough to sit close to these changes, and today I'm here to share what we've been doing so far to make our networks feel safer. Next slide, please. Figures from the Office for the National Statistics show that nearly half of women still feel fairly unsafe using public transport, and this is something that cannot be ignored, compared to less than a fifth of men feeling unsafe on public transport. Next slide, please. That's why in March 2025, First Bus launched a national partnership with StrutSafe. StrutSafe are a volunteer-run helpline that offers a friendly, non-judgmental voice for anyone walking or travelling home alone and feeling unsafe. StrutSafe is ultimately there as a point of contact for passengers who need a friendly voice when feeling unsafe. They provide company, comfort, but also advice for those who need it throughout their journey. It's a point of contact that adds more value or different value than if they wanted to call their family or go to the police, as not everyone wants to in certain situations. Now, this helpline ran originally on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. But thanks to our funding, we've helped extend StrutSafe's availability to Thursday evenings, so reaching even more people at times they need it most. To ensure people know about the service, we've launched a wide-reaching promotional campaign across our network. So right now, you'll see StrutSafe's number and QR code across over 2,200 posters nationally on our buses, over 500 digital screens on our buses. It's been promoted on our First Bus app. It's promoted across our social media channels, on our website, and all of these promotional efforts resulted in 1.2 million customers seeing StrutSafe and their number in just a week. So far, we've seen 4,000 scans of the QR code, helping connect passengers with a real-time source of support during their journey. Equally so, we've had feedback from our contact centre saying people have actually called thanking them that we've made them aware of StrutSafe's number, which is of course amazing to hear. Next slide, please. So our partnership with StrutSafe actually made national headlines, which further promoted their number to the wider public, which was our end goal. Our partnership with StrutSafe was about getting their number out there nationally and using our operator service and platform to help reach more passengers and public to feel safer when travelling or have a point of call to do so. Next slide, please. But we also acknowledge that bus support doesn't just stop at the passenger, it also caters into cultural transformation. So internally and externally, First Bus is proud to be a white ribbon accredited organisation, aligning ourselves with the leading UK campaign to end male violence against women and girls. Now, to be a white ribbon accreditation, you have to work with White Ribbon to develop and deliver a transformative action plan over a 3-year cycle. This plan shows your commitment to prevent harassment, abuse and violence against women and girls, through ultimately promoting gender equality, raising awareness, and ensuring that men as well as women are part of the solution, as it's a solution that all of us need to contribute towards. But this isn't just a badge, it's a commitment. So we've just finished our first year and we're reviewing our previous year that's gone behind us and obviously looking forward. But in our first year, we've educated and upskilled our employees on gender-based violence. So we've had allyship training, active bystander training, and promotion of our White Ribbon promise in our colleague handbooks and driver logbooks. We truly believe education is key to prevention. So making sure all of our workforce is aware of White Ribbon, aware of the issue of violence against women and girls, and aware of what we're trying to do to tackle it. Equally, we've improved how we capture and respond to safety-related data. So we have a Power BI dashboard created to specifically measure reports that are coming in for gender-based harassment and crimes. So we can, look at them separately and in isolation to identify patterns or any ways we can improve specific travel routes. But as we acknowledge as well, underreporting is a huge issue, as Nikki obviously mentioned. So that's something that we're looking to improve, having conversations about now. We also are focused on building an inclusive culture that challenges harmful behaviours. So we have ongoing awareness campaigns going on internally, alongside promotion of our White Ribbon promise across various comms channels and digital screens for on-site colleagues, just making people aware of what is going on so people are aware of how to make a difference. We've also established a dedicated steering group to lead and oversee our work on violence against women and girls, ensuring that it's not just about a one-off initiatives, we're having regular check-ins to ensure long-term structural change. Next slide, please.
Mm.
Now, let's be clear, safety shouldn't be a cost women have to factor in when deciding whether or not to take transport. But right now, for some, that is a reality. So at First Bus, we stand with women and girls in their right to not only be safe, but also feel safe. We're committed to creating an environment they feel confident stepping into, whether it's 7 a.m. or 11 p.m. Now, we don't see Strut Safe Partnership and our White Ribbon accreditation as endpoints. If anything, they are just the beginning. In our first year, we focus primarily on education and cultural transformation, as we believe true change comes from within. However, in our upcoming years, further action is our priority. Although this is our work as an operator to date, we want to learn and hear from the experiences of others, as this is a national issue that needs a collaborative approach to tackling it. Ultimately, we look forward to creating even safer public transport for women and girls, but ultimately for everyone, and hearing from yourselves on different ways to do so. Thank you so much. It's me.
Thank you. That was really interesting. We've had quite a few questions in the chat as well, so I think if I stop sharing might be the best thing here, and then we can just focus on some of those questions if that's all right.
Yeah, I saw the group chat was going. Right, where should we start?
Shall I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Shall I go to the top? I can say I'm not sharing anymore, am I? I was about to share them with you. So there's a couple of funding opportunities, which I'm sure Nikki will pick up on. So thank you very much for sharing with those. There is a question whether really the Safe Strut initiative is available in London.
The Strut
And is it?
Yes, so Strut Safe, it's a national call line. So they're basically full of their helpline is national across the whole of the UK. So yeah, it can be available in London.
And then a question on whether other operators also support this.
In relation to Strut Safe?
I think so, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so currently Lothian Bus in Edinburgh, they're partnered with Strut Safe. But other than that, to my knowledge, it's just First Bus. So we're nationally operated with Strut Safe, so obviously across the whole UK, whereas Lothian Buses is just Edinburgh. But yeah, another bus operator such as Lothian is with Strut Safe as well. And just to mention as well, Strut Safe, although it's got a big influence in the transport sector, it's for anyone who feels unsafe in any public setting. So with that, they've got a few partnerships as well.
I think there was a question lower down about whether it was available across the rail network as well, or whether it is just bus.
No, yeah, it should be available around in the rail network as well. I've got key contacts. If anyone wants to get in contact with them, just let me know. But yeah, they're to be honest, Strut Safe just wants to get their number out there as much as possible to help anyone anywhere across the UK.
So I suppose just general question, what's the best way if other operators are interested in taking this forward, is that for them to, what's the best way of them doing that really?
So I would get in contact directly with Strut Safe. So you can obviously go on their website and go in contact with their contact team there. I also do have quite a few contacts with Strut Safe due to our work. So if anyone wanted to get in contact with me to kind of get in contact with the person who helped us have that national implementation, that national reach, let me know. So either through myself or through their website would be best.
Cool, thank you for that. Got a few comments about the buses, Bill. Nikki, can I drop you in it a little bit? And I know you've been doing some work around the buses, Bill, and what opportunities that might have for us and sort of new powers in the future.
Yeah, so I think it's just at the Royal Assent stage. So I think that when it will become law, so things we haven't got a date for that yet. So I think it's just had its final amendments made to it, and then it'll obviously go for Royal Assent, and that's when it becomes law. I think the Urban Transport Group are just waiting for some guidance around that and what that will include. But certainly from our safety and security group point of view, what we've been looking at is what some of those bylaws could look like. So again, it is all around tackling those types of antisocial behaviour issues that we haven't been able to do sort of thing. But again, it's looking at who can then enforce them as well. There is also things around driver training in there and strengthening that, and a commitment around ensuring that staff know how to report incidents and how to respond effectively, and also that commitment around violence against women and girls as well. So again, it's really going to help work in this area when that bill comes law.
Cool, thank you. Are there any questions that I've missed that anybody wanted to raise? Or if I open to the Polly, you put your hand up.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is fantastic. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. And I can't wait for us to have this conversation with the London Steering Group as well, because like Angelita was saying, that they've managed to get in there with StrutSafe. And I know operators have their own policies and things like that, but when we have an overreaching sort of governmental bill and policy, then it can, extend out to other people, even to animals like that come onto the buses, like dogs. And, I know we have procedures when we call a control light if there's an incident, and we have safe words that we can use. But this is fantastic. I can't wait. And I think it will encourage women to get on the buses, be safe. And according to TfL, don't quote me because I'm not very good with data and I think I'm going through menopause, 80% of women use the buses. So, I know it starts with us lot, but I hope it extends to the general populace, because everyone needs to be safe and everyone needs to get from A to B. That's all I really wanted to add. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you for that. That's lovely. Opening up to the wider floor, are there other initiatives that anyone else is doing or aware of, or anything you wanted to raise just to talk about in the chat? I can see Kerry's got a hand up.
Hi. Yeah, it was just really a comment, really an observation on Nikki and Angelita's presentations. You both talked about data, and that is really important. Obviously, there was a government paper a couple of years ago around the various Safer Streets campaigns, and it's been really hard historically to measure the success of the various initiatives and campaigns and texts and things like that. So the fact that you've both honed in on the data picture, it is massive, because it's really hard to measure what's successful, and particularly in those subcategories of actual safety and perceived safety, and actually how that potentially impacts bus usage. Is that going to go up? Hopefully we all want it to go up for a number of reasons, but could it decline as well if that kind of actual and perceived safety isn't where it needs to be? So yeah, I think that data is key, and presumably the first, that data will come through StrutSafe, but also your own measurements in terms of kind of safety incidents and those categories.
I think that data is so important, isn't it, in really kind of giving people that perception of safety and tackling some of those fears. I've got Joanna with her hand up.
Yeah, just a quick one really to say, I think some people will know the first run through of the Violence Against Women and Girls Driver CPC was held, I'm going to say last week, might have been the week before, where we had our first eyes on it from a lot of operators were there, and we had a really good selection of drivers attend as well, to start to build the final package that then will be available. So I noticed in the chat somebody mentioned about training for drivers. It's definitely on the way. I don't know if we've got a launch date, but it's great that it's started. So I just wanted to share that. I know it's out there and it's being built, and it looked really good feedback on it. So
can I just come in? Yeah, thanks, Joanna. It's really good to hear that. And I know Andrew McGuinness is on the call as well. He's made a comment there as well in there. Andrew, and so they came along to our safety and security group recently and talked about that training, so it's really good to see that. And I know they hadn't done the actual pilot yet, sort of thing. So it's great to hear that went really well, sort of thing. So again, we're certainly as a committed as an urban transport group through our safety and security group to sort of really work with the operators and CPT really to sort of help develop that and get that delivered in our regions.
Cool, thank you. It'd be really good to see that training when that comes out. Cara, should I hand over to yourself for a question?
Yeah. Thank you, Laura. I'm really interested. So, quite rightly, oh God, there's so much good stuff going on here, which is brilliant to hear about. Thank you for those presentations. I suppose my question really, and perhaps it's to the those of you that are operators on the call, do you feel like there is enough done that protects staff on board buses as well. So a lot of what we're talking about is for the travelling public, rightly so. And we've talked about the importance of staff training, again, brilliant. But I'm just thinking, if I was a female driver, how would I feel, on that late night bus if I was alone with one or two other passengers? I'm just really interested to hear from operators around the thoughts on that side of things particularly.
Coming on this, just on one point of it, just linking it back to StrutSafe. So although StrutSafe has been primarily promoted to our customers, it's also being promoted to our workforce. So for female, drivers, obviously men as well, if they are, like, let's say the scariest part is, they've done a night shift and they're walking back home by themselves, and that can be quite a scary experience. So they can reach out to StrutSafe to have someone on the phone on their journey back. So being able to, be in contact with someone, let's say their family isn't awake, but StrutSafe is. So that's something that, just to mention as well, one of the benefits of StrutSafe is not only just for passengers, but also for staff too.
It's great to hear, Angelita.
Thank you. Was there another hand up somewhere a minute ago?
Sorry, it was me. Sorry, and I clicked and then unclicked, then I couldn't quite do it. As an ex-bus driver and a frontline bus driver, I'm telling you, in the nighttime, I like to think I'm a confident person, but when you have like a random bloke come up to your cab side and be like, put his head against, go, where you going? Are you deporting yet? And I'm like, yo, like, so we used to always say to our drivers, please stay in the cab. Like I smoke. So I was just like, I haven't even got enough confidence to get out and have that cigarette. So I'd always call into my controller. So I think with the StrutSafe initiative and everyone sort of like mapping in and the jigsaw coming together, it'll be nice even for the controllers to touch base, not just because I'm just a woman, but anyone who's on there during the night to say, are you okay? How are you doing? Just to call in, just to see as it's drawing towards the end of the shift. Especially in Highgate Village in London, it's very scary. There's too many trees. But yeah, I think we really need to look at people coming up and asking for direction in the night. That can be very, very scary.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's really important to keep each other safe, isn't it, Cara?
I was just going to come back and call it and ask you directly, as somebody that's obviously, you've been a driver and experienced that. What else would you say, why is nobody thinking about this, or this would really help female drivers feel safer? And, what other thoughts would you have, other ideas?
Cara, you've smashed it with that question, because I'll be honest, when I was a mentor or apprenticeship assessor for Go Ahead London, one of the reasons we couldn't retain some of our female drivers was to do with things like that. And when you speak to your management, people would be like, oh, women are too sensitive, we're over emotional. And obviously we hate all of that kind of language, and we should rightfully, or hate is a strong word, we should dislike this kind of language and try and encourage people to use better language. But what I would say is because they can't get hold of the controller, they've got no one to talk to, no one to touch base that there's a sense of protection, or their well-being is ring-faced. Like we have no one to touch base with. Controllers you can't always get hold of. They're trying to run the mileage, trying to run the duty. It just needs a separate thing whereby we're made to feel valued, that our concerns are real, and it's traveling to and from the depots, having like walkways highlighted perhaps with better lighting, things that are common sense, as well as things that can be part of greater white government paper that can give us those rights. But fundamentally, Cara, I would say just having somebody at the depot, or somebody within the controlling aspect, or NMCC from TfL, somewhere where it's linked up, that we don't feel like we're a burden, that we can press a button or do something coming separate from the Code Red system, so people actually care for our well-being.
Do you know what brilliant insight? And it's not rocket science that you're talking about there, is it? It's dead straightforward stuff. That's really interesting to hear.
Thank you, Cara.
Kerry, I think you were your hand went up during that, so I suspect you were going to respond on it as well, weren't you?
Thanks. Yeah, it's just kind of, I guess, follow on from what Colin was saying. There's a resource piece, having that availability in the control room. Is it fully manned? And actually, are they manned to the a sufficient level to manage the operation, but also have people available, like I say, to take those kind of calls of concern. There's also the education piece. So, we talked about, I think, in Nikki's presentation around the active bystander, there is a big education piece, and what do you want me to do about it? Or like, oh, just ignore them, or, and I think there is a huge amount of education is needed, so that, that training requirements part of the bus bill, that will be huge in that CPC thing. And obviously the fact that it's recurring, it's not a one-hit wonder, we've done it, we've ticked a box. But it also comes down to some of the actual, the buses themselves and the cab design, which varies greatly. I know a lot of work has been done by a number of operators and Women in Bus and Coach on cab design, and some of them, as well as being more inclusive and fit for all, some are more secure than others, and that has a big bearing on drivers and how they feel and how safe they feel as well. So, there's a number of factors. But there's a lot more we could do, for sure.
Thanks for that, Kerry. I think that leads perfectly into a question in the chat, actually. I think from Alex, if I've said that right. So asked a question about sort of vehicle design, and particularly if anybody's got any experience of different vehicle features that would help personal safety and the perception of safety. I mean, you were just talking there about, Kerry, about the kind of the cab design. Is there anything more we can do to make that sort of cab design feel safer?
I was actually going to suggest Alex might have some insight in this, because she does work on vehicle design and safety. Sorry to put you on the spot, Alex.
Yeah. So, for example, I know like London spec, they have assault screens that protect against like physical attacks, but also liquids and sprays. They have alarms, they have CCTV systems. So there's a number of things that the London buses at least are doing already. My question was just taking the opportunity, because I'm so used to my work being with London. This is a lovely opportunity for me to talk to people from other places around the country, which is kind of why I was asking if anybody knows about actual features or safety systems actually on the bus. Then I would love to hear about it. I know it's a tricky question, but yeah, it is definitely one of the things that's really important. And yeah, we are doing a big cab program at the moment, so I'm keen to feed everything in if there is more experience from around the country.
Foley, can I bring yourself back in there?
Yeah, no, thank you. Alex, I just had this question. You made reference to London and our assault alarm that we have. Part of the problem is it's also the culture. The blokes, they use it to say hello to each other. So when there's a real incident, we have a misunderstanding of whether it's, "You all right, mate? How's the day going?" Or, "You all right, Cody? How's your day going?" No. I'm under attack, guys. I'm actually under attack. So we need to, I don't know if when people become complacent with a particular sound, if we can look out when we're doing the cab design, which TfL are leading with, the young people that are designing it all. They're so cool, by the way. And I'm just thinking perhaps we should look at a different type of alarm just to get rid of the monotony of us become accustomed to that particular noise, because people use it, I swear to God, Alex, they use it like a hello thing, and really I get really hesitant. Our drivers, even the female, that we get hesitant to use it, because we're not looking to say hello, we're looking to let you know something's happened. And with CCTV, it's post-incident, once it's legitimized, when you can load it all up, or if there's an incident, it's got a whole long procedure. By the time you do that, we're hurt or we're upset or something's happened or the other. But if you could just
does
put that in
provide
there,
evidence,
they might listen to you more
of the problem. So in terms of the sound, I know TfL are doing a research project that's looking at all the alerts and warnings and things that go off in cabs, throughout the bus, the whole bus, in fact. So that is a piece of work they're doing at the moment. I help scope it. So I will make sure that comment only gets fed into that project, because I know the lady that's leading on that one, so I can make sure that gets considered. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex.
Alex, I just wanted to come in on your question as well, and I maybe I should know the answer to this and I don't, and maybe somebody else on the call does. But in terms of your specific question about other features, obviously with the work that Women in Bus and Coach have been doing around cab design, I'm assuming that's been part of that conversation. Is there anyone on the call that knows any of the specifics on that? Because it feels like, I'm sure it has been, but if it isn't, it feels like an opportunity to go with that really quite direct question, or what does best in class look like for this stuff, and what other features might be useful or appropriate. Does anyone know any more on that? Or if not, I think it's something we can take away back to our regional group and then potentially back to the steering group.
Are you asking about the TfL cab design programme?
Yeah, so
So one of the objectives for them is around improving security. It's just I'm personally struggling to come up with
other
other physical features on the bus that can be done. So there's a whole world of work in terms of behaviour and culture and all these other aspects that have been talked about on the call, and that is absolutely part of the solution. I'm just thinking about the vehicle design bit, because that's my hat that I wear.
Yeah, Laura, so your hand came up. You might be able to help out as well.
Yeah, I think the concerns around safety have definitely been raised as part of the research on the cab design piece. I'm just not sure how that's been fed into the sort of output from the initiative. I don't know if Kerry knows any more than that, because I don't know if you've been a bit closer to it than me, Kerry.
I haven't, but I could actually get an update from Kerry Cheek, who has kind of led it from a Women Bus and Coach perspective, get a bit of an update and perhaps share it with yourself, Cara, if these slides are going out, just to kind of see if there is any specific outputs that would be of use.
Oh, sorry, Laura.
Sorry, I was just going to say, certainly if it's been raised, because I remember seeing a video where one of the ladies that was being interviewed was a female driver, and she raised the concerns specifically. So if that's been raised as part of the research, I can't see that that's been overlooked or ignored. I'm sure.
No, it definitely is an objective of the project. So it is one in the the overall scope.
It's that almost call to arms of what other ideas are out there, and whether there's an opportunity for us to do that really quite directly and just ask for people's thoughts and ideas. And I know you'd probably we'd weed through those, and some of them are probably could be discounted, some of them are probably already considered, but there might just be a few gems in amongst that feels like maybe that could be an activity that we think about how we would take that forward.
There's like a future topic area as well, doesn't it, that we could really explore. I think, Laura, you've got your hand back up again.
Yeah, I was just going to add as a sort of final thought from me, I don't know if there's any value in it. It might be something that's already been done, but looking at what the coach sector and perhaps even the haulage sector do in terms of cab security and cab features, because obviously the nature of their work is drivers are often off away from home, parked in laybys even overnight, and there's a big security piece, particularly in the haulage sector at the moment, around freight crime and driver security. So it might be there's some learnings that the bus sector can take from that.
Thank you for that. We'll look into that.
Thank you.
So we've got just a few minutes left, really. So I want to mainly say thank you to our two guest speakers and all our contributors today. It's been really, really inspirational, enlightening, and lots of food for thought, quite literally. Can I ask in the last few minutes, if you want a copy of the slides, you might have to just drop your email address into the chat, because I don't think we've got copies of everyone here, but we can do that afterwards. And also please put into the chat any kind of future topic areas. I'm thinking cab design might be one of them, to have these sessions so that we can start building those for the future. But unless there's any further comments, I just really want to say a big thank you to everyone. Cara, did you want to say anything towards the end?
Just to echo that, Laura, really great conversation, brilliant presentations today, and really good to have so many people in such a rich conversation. So thank you, Laura.
Okay, thank you everyone. Do leave us your email addresses so we can keep in contact with you if you'd like us to. And thank you again for coming along.
Thanks everyone. It's really good.